Hello YouTube, it's the Frog Queen here, and I'm back, I know, again, with another comic book review. And of course, it's been 6 months, so if you want a bit of a life update, I will tell you about that at the end of this video. But for now, let's just get straight to the comic book I want to talk about today. Today, we are going to be talking about Rachael Smith's latest comic book. This is Quarantine Comics, which I think is like perfectly timed considering what we've all been through. But first, I'll tell you a little bit about Rachael Smith. Rachael is from the UK. She's a wonderful comic book creator. She does all kinds of things from illustrating Doctor Who to tons of other comics, plus her own self-written, self-illustrated books. She is published with Avery Hill for the most part. Most of her books have been published with Avery Hill, which I adore, obviously. I have tons of books by Avery Hill Publishing. You can get their UK company. You can get them through the UK, but they do ship internationally, so you can get them internationally as well. You just have to go onto their site. I'll link it in the descriptions below. So here's a couple of the books. I love Artificial Flowers, which was a sequel, I believe, to her first published self-published book, or published book, sorry, was not self-published, called The Party. And of course, The Rabbit, which is one of my favorites as well. The green screen's kind of bleeding through there a little bit. This is about a giant rabbit, but it's about so much more. It's a really, really great book. And I just love Rachel's style. I love her cartooning style. It's great. So we're going to take a look at Quarantine Comics, but I did kind of want to give you a little look-see into some of her printed books. She has many more books than this, but these were just the ones that I happen to have hard copies of that I wanted to share with you. And so she was nice enough to contact me and give me a copy of her new book, Quarantine Comics. So let's just go over to that. Ba-bam! Whoops! Quarantine Comics! Quarantine Comics! Yay! Like the hug from a friend you didn't know you needed. Oh, I love that. It's true, though. That's what this book does feel like. So this is a memoir of life in lockdown, obviously. And a little bit about Rachael. Rachael is no stranger to publishing books that are talking about her mental health and sort of the finer details of her life, her personal life. And that's what makes these books so special, is because you can really feel like you get to know Rachael while reading these books. This isn't her first one about mental health and stuff, so she does have other comics, books, collected little comics and snippets of her life that I've read in the past as well. So you can check those out as well. I am going to also leave all of Rachel's social media contact information and everything in the description of this video so that you can go and you can buy things directly from Rachel's site too, I believe. So I'll leave all that information, and so you can follow her on the socials and keep up with everything she's got going on in her life. Okay, so I thought we would look a little bit closer at some of these. I don't want to spoil the story, but there are pretty much self-contained little snippets of Rachel's life, page by page. So I think we can share a little bit about it without spoiling the story overall. So here's a lovely quote by Kieran Gillen: "A tiny, comforting light of understanding, humor, and hope in a dark time." So I hope you guys like this format. Look at the kid. I love these. I hope you like this format of a video, because then I get to share a little tiny snippet of a comic with you. So much easier than actually showing you the physical book like I used to. So the green screen is kind of useful for this reason. So let's just scroll down. I will introduce you. This is I'm going to show you the actual characters that she writes about. And these are also reoccurring characters from her other books too. So let's just scroll down. And dun, da, da, da. The main cast. So there's Rachael, our main character narrator, a 35-year-old cartoonist, very anxious, likes wine and video games, cries a lot, tries her best. And honestly, if you meet Rachael, she's just such a lovely, lovely person. I met Rachael a few years back at TCAF in Toronto, and she's such a wonderfully lovely person. And I did get to sit down and have a drink with her. She was drinking wine. I think I was too. It was great. It was a long time ago. Boy, feels like forever since I've been to TCAF. It really has. Anyway, there's Rufus. This is Rachel's cat and her BFF. Likes a lot of attention, also hates attention, is confused as to why the humans are home all the time these days. This is Ian, or is it Lane? I think it's Lane. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. This is Rachel's housemate, an amazing cook and musician, does clever stuff with insurance, which Rachel doesn't really understand. I love that. And Rob, this is Rachel's boyfriend, currently stuck away from Rachel due to lockdown, is full of kindness and integrity, an awesome animator. Heather, Rachel's best friend, best human friend, super clever, has like 5 degrees or something. I should probably check that before this goes to print. Barkley. Now, you might remember the Barkley, an imaginary dog. He represents Rachel's depression and pessimism, tells Rachel to do stupid things, and kind of a dick. Shut up, Barkley. So yes, this is representing Rachel's, sadder side, her depression and that negative voice in her head, right? And then there's Friendly, also an imaginary dog, but she represents Rachel's common sense and optimism, tells Rachel good and useful things. Yay, Friendly. So that's it. I mean, this is kind of, it starts, the prologue, talking about the coronavirus and people kind of downplaying it, as people did, in most places. And then we are switching to all of a sudden lockdown. Now, this is lockdown in the UK, which actually happened a lot earlier in the UK than it did in Canada. Canada, my part of Canada, Nova Scotia, locked down quite abruptly, but it hadn't reached Canada yet at this point of lockdown, that stuff that was happening in the UK. There are so many really, really good moments in this book. The book itself, I think, is about 300 pages, a little more than that. But each little snippet, it kind of brings out those quarantine moments that I'm sure we're all very familiar with. So this little moment, for instance, says, I'm teaching myself guitar. I'm writing a novel. I'm spending quality time with my children. And then Rachel's just like, I've got really good at staring at walls. Sorry, I've gotten really good at staring at walls. Yeah, I can't read. And like, this is kind of how a lot of people felt, because they're not used to having free time, for one, not used to being stuck inside all the time. And so people were really trying to learn how to do things, completely cut off from the rest of the world. And, there was also that shock, of course, everybody was going through, where you couldn't focus on nice things for a lot of us, some of us with the depression. Okay. You wanted to focus on nice things and be useful, but you couldn't, you know what I mean? Of course, I don't really fall into this. I've been living in a form of quarantine now for many years, because of my illness. So the quarantine affected me in a really bizarre way, which I could talk about my personal quarantine issues. Of what I went through. But this really does speak to a lot of my mental state, because I have been home. I've been home for a long time, a few years. I guess it's been like 4 or 5 years that I've been working from home. Oh my God. Anyway, let's keep going. So she also talks about, trying to do things for herself to make herself happy, to be healthy. It's important to keep to a healthy routine during these uncertain times. Some suggestions: 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., drink wine, eat Oreos, listen to podcasts, and play video games. I mean, right? I want to do that. Wait, I do most of that except for the Oreos. 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. nap time, FaceTime with boyfriend, prepared you've had a normal person day. Pretend you've had a normal person day. Yeah, I just did some work, you know. I mean, I love these. They're so adorable. And the thing about Rachael is like she's incredibly humble, which always comes across in her books. But she tends to kind of be this self-deprecating kind of character, but then she's also very funny about it, right? Which I really enjoy because I sympathize with that. I've always been very self-deprecating, but I always try to play it off with some form of humor. And I think that's a common character trait, but it's very endearing when I watch someone like Rachael do it, and it really does come across in her storytelling. Here's another one that I really like. I want to go for a walk today, but I already went to the post office today. We're only allowed to go out once a day. And Rufus jumping, leaving. She's just like, show off. Cute, right? There's a lot of these really nice moments too, where, you know, Rachael is out trying to enjoy what she can from the quarantine. I love how she's got the hairy legs. That's great. So she's with Rufus trying to enjoy her time, but her depression is there, hiding behind walls, waiting to soak up that sun and take it away from her. And so there's a lot of like nice moments like this throughout the book that kind of reminds you that even when she is trying to be positive, you know, if you suffer from depression, it's always there in the background. It's always kind of lurking over your shoulder. And it does kind of shadow even the nicest parts of the day, no matter what you're going through. And I really like how Rachael illustrates this because, I mean, it's very relatable. And I think that's what probably like most about this is it is very relatable in that way. And I know a lot of us struggle with depression, and maybe you've been clinically diagnosed or something, but you know what it's like to feel sad and feel that looming, foreboding feeling. And there's something really comforting about seeing it portrayed in this way and putting kind of a face and a name on the depression so that you can talk to it in a way. And then, you know, in a way you're kind of reasoning with it or rationalizing, you know, it in a way and being like, you know, hey, I don't have to listen to you today, depression. Go away, you big, ugly, imaginary dog. And I think this is this particular one right here is overall like the best sentiment in the book for me that I completely agree with, because this is kind of like how I feel about my day-to-day life. Oh my God, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, okay, I'm fine. All right. This is how I feel kind of about my day-to-day life, because I do feel like most of the time I'm just barely getting by. And I think that's just because when you have a chronic illness, you do just have to take everything moment by moment, and everything slows down so much more because you're just trying to get through each moment. And this particular comic does this comic page, you know what I'm saying? This particular cartoon really spoke to me. So if all you were doing right now is surviving, that is fine. And I hate survival mode. I live in survival mode all the time. But I think we push ourselves so much to do so much and accomplish so much because that's kind of like, there's like this weird thing in our society where we're always patting people on the back for pushing themselves to their limits, to hustling as much as they possibly can, when really we should be patting each other on the backs for, you know, just getting through the day okay. Honest to God. Like, there needs to be something like that. You do not have to go above and beyond every moment of every day to try and prove that you're worthwhile or prove that you've earned your place somewhere in this world or whatever. You know, if all you're doing is surviving, there is nothing wrong with that. And that should be commended, because a lot of people haven't been surviving so well, you know? So I really like the sentiment of that particular one. And it's just like a reminder. It's like, yes, that is fine. But yeah, I hope that's all right. I just did want to kind of share with you a few of those snippets from the book. It's a huge book. There's lots of really amazing moments in it. I just wanted to pick out a few of my favorite to share with you to get a sense of what kind of book this is. There are lots of really funny moments too, and it can be very poignant in that way. So I think you'll find something that you particularly relate to. I think everybody will find something they really relate to in this book. And I thank Rachel so much for sending me a copy because I really, really enjoyed it. It is like the hug that you need, you know, especially during these times. I know some places are getting back to normal. Some places aren't, you know, the world is still in quarantine. Some places really should still be in quarantine, you know. So this book I think is going to forever be important to you, no matter where you are in your journey in your life and surviving COVID and worse. You know, this even is such a good book, even if you aren't in quarantine anymore, or maybe you didn't have quarantine where you were or whatever. But there's so many other relatable moments in this book, like if you have chronic illness, depression, anything like that, or struggling at all in any way. I think that this book could be really, really positive for you and very comforting. That's it for me, guys, on this. I really, really enjoyed this one. Again, it's Quarantine Comics by Rachael Smith. Go get it. It's lovely. And I believe you can buy it digitally and in hard copy as well. This one was actually published by Icon Books, not Avery Hill. My mistake. I think I said Avery Hill in the beginning because a lot of her other books were published with Avery Hill, but this one's with Icon. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave all the information in the description so that you can get your own copy. As for me, I told you I'd give you a little update. I'm still sick. It's not going to change. I do. A while back, I was diagnosed with endometriosis and fibromyalgia, so I'm still struggling with that. I did get accepted into a really good clinic here in Nova Scotia for people with fibromyalgia to help treat that. So I get to finally go in and be there in November, and they're going to give me a team of professionals to help me be more functional and get more things done. I am still streaming on Twitch 3 days a week. Sometimes if I'm not doing very well, then I might cancel. But other than that, I've been mostly pretty good at being able to do it. We just play Minecraft and talk about whatever. So if you want to come hang out with me on Twitch. I'm going to be doing my best to have more of these videos. I've been reading a lot this summer because I haven't been doing anything else, because that's kind of what my life has been like for like the last few years. So I have tons of comics to talk about, and I really hope that I can try to strive to do this more often. It would be amazing if I could get a video out once a week. Maybe that's ambitious. I don't know. I'm going to try though. All right, comic book junkies, thank you so much for continuing to be here, even though, and bearing with me, even though I've been, it's been 6 months since I put out a video. I'll do better, I swear. Thank you so much. And until next time, read something good. Bye.